Growing up loving Alaska has changed me definitively. This is my story of my second home. My second home, Kuznetsov Bay, Alaska, is formed by a spit that from the sky looks like an index finger of land poking a slug. The spit is formed by an ancient seismic event where after cooling, a huge mountain of lava rock was pushed into the ocean of what would later be called Kachemak Bay. The path of the lava rock formation became the main length of the spit, and over time trees and vegetation grew all over it. On each side there is a beach, one facing inward Kuznetsov Bay, aka the inside beach, the other facing the open seas of Kachemak Bay, aka the outside beach. Huge dark green pine trees tower over you wherever you walk, whether through the thick bright greens of the vegetation or the beaches with the white gray sand and gravel combination. The sound of the crashing waves is never ending while walking on the outside beach, as the sunlight reflects off the water endlessly like the way diamonds shine in direct light. That sound, however, is but a faint drumlin on the inside beach, looking out to the snow-tipped mountain peaks that surround you with the same pine trees stretched endlessly across them. This is the place where my grandfather built his vacation property. My mom grew up visiting their small wooden cabin there every time the family could, flying there in my grandfather's Super Club float plane. They eventually expanded the property to have the space to build a house where among the trees and tall grasses, a gray barn-like house with an aluminum sheet roof was erected. Most of my oldest and now faintest memories are of what my family and some locals call McDonald's Spit. There's my first 4th of July, where the summer night sky gradients from black and dark blue to the soft hues of orange and red at the same time due to the rotation of the Earth's creating longer days. The sky was alight with fireworks that night up and down the beach, and the multicolored displays spreading across the sky like so many stars, spreading infinitely across space, shot up in the sky for hours on end, the sky never really getting dark until the early hours of the morning. I remember the tide pooling in the seaweed blanketed rocks of the sandbar, struggling to push over rocks caked with barnacles and limpets with my small, pale red hands. I had my first kiss there with a girl I don't remember too well. I remember that I felt as red as I probably looked. I remember being thankful it was a cool day, and that the cool sea winds were enough to keep my hands less sweaty than they actually were. As I grew up, I spent every summer and vacation at McDonald's Spit, mainly spending my time in California where my parents met and found separate but perfect homes. My time there was special to me because it was away from everything else. It was a place I had a positive connection to, and not only helped me grow as a person, but become a better one. As I grew up between California and Alaska, however, there was one negatively charged constant that stuck. It was my brother. After my parents split when we were young, his behavior changed drastically, and I became his target for bullying. I started to opt out of vacations to Alaska, cutting my time with my mother drastically as well as my older brother. I developed a negative stigma for this bit. This stigma was created by the feeling of not being able to escape, or even attain relief from my brother. Eventually, when I had grown large enough to defend myself, and my brother had matured enough to leave me alone, I started to revisit McDonald's Spit. Once the cold fresh air was in my lungs again and the endless expanses of the seas and mountains sat on either side of me, I felt almost whole again. The only part that was missing was the uncorrupted feeling of good I felt when I experienced this place as a child. That part was gone the second I chose not to return due to my brother. That special feeling of having a place that you feel defines you for what you like is what is important. If you have a similar connection, make sure you don't squander it or take it for granted because one day you might not have it. If you hadn't had a similar relationship to a place like this, maybe try to develop one. It's important to explore the world in this life and see what it has to offer. Any number of places can be a place you resonate with specifically. Your place can be anywhere or everywhere, depending on who you are. So far, I've made more connections with places like McDonald's Spit, and I still love the Spit itself, because what's important is taking the worst parts of life in stride with the magnificent ones. When I return to Alaska this summer, I'm going there to work on the fishing boats for 3 months straight. Cold gray steel and aluminum will be my environment, and as I am surrounded by the open seas, the clouds will be dark and encroaching always this season, and the wind will whip past us as loud as the outboard of the boat roars. When in bleak times like that, I always think back to the places where I feel whole, and I imagine myself there soon, and I persevere and I get through it. When I do this, everything comes into perspective, and I feel whole and well. Hopefully, everyone too can feel this way and find out themselves how much they love this earth.